let's talk about textual variant in Jude, the book of Jude. This one, it seems like it keeps coming up. I'm not even looking for it, and I'm hearing people talk about it. I heard Heiser mention it today. I was listening to a lecture, and he mentioned Jude 5, how that, like the New English translation, which I think maybe Daniel Wallace is a spearhead behind that, they have gone with the reading that Jesus brought the people out of Egypt. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the NA 28 is going in that direction now. I don't think the NA 27 did, but I think the 28th edition went in that direction as of
Yeah.
picking Jesus as the best reading. Um, Obviously, you don't take that reading, but you probably take, I guess, the Lord, Kyrios. So
Yeah.
explain
Well,
that a little
so
bit.
so this is when it comes to textual variants, I think what I've noticed is that a lot of people, they like to pick the variant that fits their own theology.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so you look at these people and you would say, oh, they're just picking the Jesus variant because it fits their theology. That's what they're going to turn around. They're going to say to us. They're going to say, no, you're not picking the Jesus variant
Hmm.
because it doesn't fit your theology. So
Hmm.
just because it fits your theology, that can't be your way of picking that. So you got to have a more scientific approach to it. So this is
Sure.
the evidence that convinces me. Okay.
Okay.
When you look at every other occurrence of Jesus in Jude, this is just something that kind of jumped out at me. And I was looking at this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's Jesus Christ, not the Lord Jesus Christ, but every other.
Okay.
So like in verse 1, Jude, a bondservant of Jesus Christ. Okay. And later in
Hmm.
verse 1, kept for Jesus Christ. Okay. Verse
Hmm.
4, the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay.
Hmm.
And then I think it shows up again in verse 17, Jesus Christ. Verse 21, Jesus Christ. Verse 25, Jesus Christ. Every other time
Wow.
Jesus is described as Jesus Christ. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
So you would think that to be consistent in verse 5, the variant would say Jesus Christ, but it doesn't. The fact
Hmm.
that it doesn't makes it look suspect.
Hmm.
Okay.
Interesting.
And there are rules to textual variants. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, and the rules are that the the difficult reading is to be preferred. However,
Hmm.
if something is so difficult that it is impossible, then it's to be rejected.
Hmm.
Okay. If you
Hmm.
if you have an original reading that's just like, the original reading says something like Abraham Lincoln, you're like, well, that's a difficult reading. You're like, no, that's difficult to the point of absurdity. Okay.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
some scholars have said no, like that is so impossible that it's just unlikely. Because again, if the original reading, like if the variant said Jesus Christ, okay, I think that would make a lot more sense. But the fact that it doesn't, it seems
Hmm.
inconsistent with that there.
Hmm.
Um, and I haven't looked at this a little bit more, but there actually is a good Jude commentary that is really arguing against this Jesus variant.
Hmm.
Those are the reasons why I think that I don't think that the Jesus variant is really as strong as a lot of people say. But
Hmm.
again, I'm approaching it from a neutral standpoint. I'm trying
Hmm.
to say, look, like these are facts that we can all agree on. We can all agree
Hmm.
that every
Hmm.
other occurrence says Jesus Christ. This
Hmm.
variant says Jesus by itself. That's suspect.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And we know that, I mean, Jesus is the given human name for Jesus. Okay. The
Right.
given
Right.
human name.
Right.
Okay. Like, are
Right.
you going to say the human being Jesus
Yeah.
was intended by the writer of Jude to be back there in the book of Exodus?
Hmm.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous to the point of absurdity. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
if you want to say something like the logos or the wisdom or something
Hmm.
like that, okay, that's a little bit different there. But I think it's difficult to the point of absurdity, and for that reason, along with the fact that all the 100% of the other references are Jesus
Hmm.
Christ,
Hmm.
it just doesn't persuade me that Jesus is
Yeah.
the original reading. Textual scholars sometimes are not. Uh, are not able to remove their own theological biases when it
Hmm.
comes to these things. Not all of them, because I think this is
Hmm.
why formally it wasn't included in the
Yeah.
you said in the NA
NA
27
27.
and
Yeah.
26
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. It's interesting too that I think the majority of English translations, and I'm talking about well-known, accepted scholarly translations of the Bible,
yeah,
that have a heavy Trinitarian influence in the scholars that are helping translate, most of them still choose Lord there. They still choose Lord. The Lord brought them out of Egypt,
Yeah.
instead of Jesus. So a few of them, I noticed a few of the English versions are switching to reading Jesus there, but most use Lord. So it's also too, it seems to me like we shouldn't base a particular doctrine off of a verse that there's question about how it should be translated, textual variation. I don't think that should be a verse that we go to and say, hey, look, here's the proof. And then we recognize we have big textual variation on the verse. And so the verse can be debated when we have other verses that I think are much more clear, not just no textual variance, but the context of the verse and the passage is clear. I think we
Yeah.
should go to those first, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
a law of hermeneutics, right? To take the clear things first, and then
Yeah.
the gray things are harmonizing with the clear. So
Yeah, I think obviously starting with a passage that is textually questionable is probably not the best place to start. You still have to deal with it. You still have to talk about it.
sure,
So,
sure,
but I wouldn't start there. I would not
yeah,
build an argument on passages like that to
yeah,
for my particular thing. But but I've taken some time to look at it and to see
sure,
what might actually be going on there. So we just
sure,
some things we just don't know. Like we're very far away from the writing of that
yeah,
particular document.
yeah.